to your front door. What matters most, we bring you more. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. Voices rise, the facts roll in. Every angle, every win. City halls and highway miles. Real lives, real news, real time. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. When the day gets loud, we cut through the crowd. When the feed runs wild, we keep it straight and style. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. Patriot Nation News. See you next time.
Let's kick this day off right, Wolf Nation. It's time to wake up, show up. First you pray up, then you coffee up. Grab your Wolf Nation coffee and tune into the Cornbread Man Morning Show at 6 a.m. EST. Don't you dare miss it.
You're not going to want to miss what we're cooking up this month. Make sure you tune in every single Saturday morning, live right here from Wolf Nation Studio. Keep your eyes peeled for the Cornbread Man and Biscuit Boy. They're bringing the heat every week.
Stay low. Don't make a sound. He's getting closer. Are you kidding me? Right now?
I hear someone up there. Come out with your hands up.
We got nothing to tell you.
Where's Biscuit Boy?
We must find Biscuit Boy before the Lake Winnie local law enforcement officers do. I know you guys can smell his cigar. Let's go!
Hey everyone, let's kick off this morning right, yeah? The Cornbread Man Morning Show drops weekdays 6 a.m. EST right here with me, your host. Get up, pray up, coffee up. Let's go.
All right, good evening on this Monday, May the 4th. Dave in the AM, a.k.a. the Cornbread Man. Hey, Cook, love you, brother. Thank you for, Brother Man, for dropping by, even if you're working. Appreciate that. And coming in on the Rumble side. Thank you for the nice Rumble kick in there. We appreciate it. All the others that are coming in. We're going to talk about, this is we've been doing news for some time, but we revamped everything. For those that don't know, my wife passed, and we were kind of discombobulated for several weeks and a few months, really, because we had to work around all that, of course. And so sometimes we didn't know exactly I had to reschedule shows, cancel, adjust the time. So try to get back into a rotation. So Monday through Friday, you will see me. I might adjust the time just a little bit if I have something at work, but 6 a.m. is the kickoff for the Cornbread Man Morning Show. And then nightly at 9 p.m., I want to do the Patriot Nation News, and behind this, sports. And so there'll be other shows as well, the music show, the history show, all the racing and all that we do. So all that'll still stay there, the weekend stuff and specials that'll be plugged in. But we want to do nightly news. There's so much news going on. We'll hit as many stories as we can. Feel free to jump in and chat with us. You can agree, disagree. You can throw your own ideas out about what's going on. There's several news items I want to hit at tonight. And we'll just, like I said, we'll rumble through them as there's a no pun intended, but it fits. We'll do as many of them as we can. I was looking, this morning, it looked like, Rudy Giuliani was really in bad shape, and he certainly was very, very sick and is still in intensive care, but stable. So has some ongoing health issues with his lungs. They say mostly due to things that damaged his lungs from 9/11, and certainly that. The day, so pray for him. I pray for anybody. I don't care who they are. If somebody's sick, I'm going to pray for them. That's the Christian part of me. Some people don't like Rudy, but I like him, and I may not like everything he's done, but I like Rudy, and I want to pray for him. So keep him in your prayers. I just lost someone. I know what it's like to lose someone. Pray for his family. And, that's somebody's husband, dad, grandpa, brother, whatever. So pray for them. Also, we've seen escalations in the Strait of Hormuz today. I love the NFL on not a serious note. That's okay. We love for you to check in and let us know that you love the NFL. We're going to be doing an NFL type show on Thursdays with Cook, hopefully. He says he's got some time, and so most Thursdays, hopefully, he can drop in, and we're going to make it a sports show, but it'll be geared towards football. It could be college as well, but a lot of NFL. We're going to update a lot of that and talk about the teams. That'll be here before you know it, Cook. We'll have to start going through the previews for the teams, and we'll even do some fantasy sports with that. So we'll start tracking our weekly fantasy numbers on that show for our league. And hopefully we'll get the league filled this year with everybody. Some of these local guys we'll have in there. And who won that last year, Cook? I think that was me. On Newsmax, White House defends Trump's Hormuz plan as shippers vent uncertainties. Yeah, man. Yeah, he's got the night off on that date. He can come in. There was reports today, UAE, that there was some Iran had hit some missiles there. Iran claims they hit a U.S. ship. There's no confirmation on that. CENTCOM says that didn't happen, but certainly things are heating up. And the freedom patrols, or whatever you want to call them, are going to begin. They've already started. The question will be, will these countries, or company owners rather, sometimes it could be the country, certainly, but in most cases, someone owns that, who's an entity, a company. Will they trust them to come through? It still amazes me that this is even a threat. I should be able to knock that out. For its part, it is said today that there were some ships that were dropped there. Yes. Well, thank you, Cook. I was the Super Bowl champion. It'd been a number of years. I mean, I feel like I went 30 years too long or something. I mean, seriously, it was like way back. I was a lot younger then. By the way, I want to thank my sister, who's been such a blessing, and she came in and gave me, yes, the Little Debbie coffee cup. Hey, and brought Little Debbie's. Thank you, sis. What a blessing. I love my coffee cups, and this is the good kind. This ain't cheapo. This is metal. Love it. One of my favorite cups I got up at Bell Buckle Cafe up in town of Bell Buckle there in Tennessee, a little bitty town. You got to go there if you're ever in the area, about 30 miles outside of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And I've got to find what I did with mine. I've got it somewhere. Love that cup. That reminds me of it a lot. In fact, it's a little lighter, actually. That cup's heavy, but I like it. But anyway, the White House is defending his plan as shippers voice uncertainties. Well, of course, they're carrying millions and millions of dollars of cargo but they are effectively starting to patrol through there. Shipping companies have been reluctant to navigate the strait despite the plan of U.S. guidance for commercial vessels, citing a lack of operational detail and continued security risk. The New York Times reported Monday, today, the White House defended efforts as humanitarian and a strategic mission. Quote, the United States is undertaking a humanitarian initiative to restore freedom of navigation for commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz while maintaining a successful naval blockade of Iranian ports, White House spokesman Olivia Wells said in a statement to Newsmax. That is said to have cost the Iranians around $5 billion or more, and they're straining at the belt to fund everything. So yeah, they're wanting to escalate again because that's really the only leverage they have is the strait. They don't have anything else. The U.S. military said that 2 American flag merchant ships had successfully passed through the strait, that Navy-guided missile destroyers in the Persian Gulf were working to restore commercial shipping. If they end this, it would seem to me that that is maybe one of the last things that Iran has to play, because they really have nothing else at this point other than the uranium, and that'll be a part of a deal most likely. Reports of the UAE, United Arab Emirates, accused Iran of launching a drone strike on an oil tanker owned by its state oil company. And again, there's another example of a state-owned tanker. According to Emirati state news agency, a South Korean cargo ship also caught fire Monday after an explosion in the strait. The South Korean government said it was reviewing intelligence reports that the Panamanian flag vessel may have been attacked. The blaze broke out in the vessel's engine room. Without an agreement from Iran, there is a risk of hostilities breaking out again. Jacob Larson, Chief Safety and Security Officer for the Baltic International Maritime Council, told the Times the council represents companies in the maritime sector. We won't read all that, but that's a lot of what's going on. I have one. You have one. I had 2 earlier than that one. I don't know if I had another one. I can't remember. No ground troops. No, I don't think that would ever be approved. Special forces, yes, that will probably has already been there, working in conjunction with the Israelis. I'm almost certain of it, but who knows? It may not have, but they're not going to tell you everything that they're doing. The gas prices are shooting up, and some of the energy folks are saying that the full brunt of that have not been heard. I meant to take a picture of the gas. I got gas Saturday. It was Saturday morning. It was $3.69 at the station that's just up the road from me and Mr. Cook. $3.69 for regular unleaded. But the IMF had said much worse outcome if war drags into 27. Well, of course, that would be a long time. You would think that it would not go that long. Of course, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, warned that inflation was already picking up and the global economy could face a much worse outcome. If the Iran war drags into 27, oil prices hit around 125 per barrel. They're up about 114 right now. 114 is the price. So that each time it goes up, that's going to affect gas prices, energy prices, and so on and so forth. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said the continuation of the war meant that the global lenders reference scenario, assuming a short-lived conflict, which forecast a minor growth slowdown to 3.1% and a minor increase in prices to 4.4%, was no longer possible. This scenario, with every day that passes, is further and further behind in the rear view mirror. The continuation of the war, a forecast of an oil price above $100 per barrel and rising inflationary pressures meant the IMF's adverse scenario was already in effect. And of course, these things can self-correct themselves pretty quick, and I think would affect more countries significantly before it would affect the United States. By the way, in the North Carolina area, and I think maybe even South Carolina, I'm not sure, but I know in North Carolina they were in the Appalachia, near, in that general region of Appalachia, in a couple of towns, they have found a huge, lithium stockpile, $64 billion worth, and they're already on board with the EPA and getting approvals. This is going to start some mining there and bring back resources coming out of the ground to the United States, and not have to rely on things from other countries. So that was also the news. It was actually found it was announced about a week ago, maybe slightly over a week ago, maybe 8 days ago or something like that. This announcement was made. So they have been working very quickly to get approval for that. There was already a mine in the area, but they have done some surveys and studies and found that there's a huge pocket of lithium. So, and that's, what everybody wants today. One of the minerals and resources that they want. Lindsey Graham is always in the news when there's war afoot, and of course he's always quick to make that go for war. So there's a report today that Senator Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, if you don't know, Senator Lindsey Graham urges Iran strike after UAE attacks. He called on President Donald Trump to order a, quote, big, strong, painful, and short military strike against Iran following new attacks in the United Arab Emirates that he said violated a fragile ceasefire with the United States. Obviously, the ceasefire is over, we would think. We have not went in operations yet other than striking those ships that were causing pain in the Strait. Lindsey Graham said that Iran had, quote, absolutely breached the agreement by targeting vessels in the Strait of Hormuz and launching missiles toward the UAE, including one that struck an oil facility. There's now an obvious justification to hit Iran hard to further reduce their capabilities and interference with freedom of navigation, as well as wreaking havoc on the region. Graham told the Wall Street Journal, arguing the attacks demanded a forceful U.S. response. Is a propane tank nowadays? Propane's went up too. I know that has inched up. I buy some tanks sometimes, especially in winter, and they have went up. I gotta get a big tank. I really do, Cook. The actions today are inconsistent with the regime that wants a diplomatic solution. He added the escalation follows confirmed reports Monday of Iranian drone and missile activity in and around the UAE and the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global shipping route for oil. For UAE, their officials said that the Iranian drone attack sparked a fire at an oil facility, and this, I think, is one of the largest in the region. While separate maritime incidents left vessels damaged or ablaze near the nation's coast. So things are heating up again in the Strait. So let's keep an eye on that as they're trying to get an agreement. I don't think that Iran, that they'll keep throwing little bits of information for an agreement. I don't think they're prepared to make the ultimate agreement. I don't think they would do that. I think they would go down with the ship, so to speak, before they would ever do that. Let's see here. There was one other one here I wanted to hit. Then I wanted to. The judge today apologized to the accused would-be Trump assassin. Federal judge apologized in court to Tomas Allen, the man accused of attempting to assassinate President Donald Trump, citing concerns about how he has been treated in custody. She said, I apologize. I'm sorry, Magistrate Judge Zia Faruqi told Allen during a Monday hearing that after listening to details about his confinement, according to USA Today, whatever you've been through, I apologize for the prior week. The judge pressed a representative from the Washington, D.C. jail about Allen's conditions, including reports that he'd been held alone in a cell and denied access to a Bible. I wonder, did they ever get an apology for any of the J6ers in the jail in D.C., the Gulag? I mean, did they ever get any of that? And those that are still held there, that were denied showers at times, denied all sorts of things. Anyway, I'm not for anybody being denied their rights. Let me put that clear. I'm not for anybody. That's what we stand on here. It's what we should be standing on, our constitutional rights. Doesn't matter what the letter is in front of the politician or in front of a judge or whoever. Law must be upheld. The man is due that if he's been denied that. If he acted up, then they may have held him alone to protect him. That happens. Certainly he should be given a Bible or whatever he chooses to read as far as sacred writings. We don't have to agree with it. That's his rights. I would say yes. But, it's just amazing to me that it always seems to be that these judges in New York and D.C. and some other places in the country are always quick to apologize or set free people who commit major crimes against Americans. and then they come down really hard on everybody else. So there's definitely a double standard going on. Don't know about her. Don't know if she's ever did that before. I don't have a real problem with her saying that as long as it's universally enforced across all offenders. That certainly would be a right as far as the Bible. Being in confinement alone is not a crime unless it's done too often. There are rules about that. Being in what is that confinement? Just sitting in a cell? That's no big deal. But if it's solitary confinement where he has no way to communicate with others, that there are limits to that. Depending on how much someone acts up and all that. So anyway, there could be a headline here just to get a headline, but I would just say, it is their right, and let's follow rights. We want the rule of law to be followed. We don't want any hiccups. We want the person who is allegedly guilty, because you can't say guilty until they went through their trial. That we don't want anything. We don't want any hiccups where there be an opportunity for a retrial or a mistrial or something like that. So, as I said, Rudy Giuliani's conditions is improving, remains in critical condition, and recovering from pneumonia, they say. So we'll just continue prayers for him. As we mentioned this morning, southern states, several of them are going to redo the districts. Are going to stop some of the voting. Georgia, Governor Kemp decided not to do that. There was a letter that was sent from the 14th district by one of the elected political leaders. I don't remember his name. I should have got it. But I saw the letter that he sent to the governor and asking him to go ahead and do this as well, because it does affect the 14th district. Another big case that was, it's a temporary, it's been ongoing, is the Supreme Court restores the access to the abortion pill through the telehealth, mail, and pharmacies. This was the order was signed by Justice Samuel Alito temporarily, because this is still, pardon me, being worked out. Temporarily allows women seeking abortions to obtain the pill at pharmacies or through the mail without an in-person visit to a doctor. Those rules have been in effect for several years until a federal appeals court imposed new restrictions last week. The majority of abortions in the United States, from this article, are obtained through medications, usually a combination of two different drugs. Their availability has blunted the impact of abortion bans that most Republican-led states have started enforcing since a 2022 Supreme Court ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade and allowed for state bans, which is still in effect. Louisiana sued to restrict access, asserting that the availability of for Prestone, I probably said that wrong, I'm sorry, his availability undermined the ban there. Some Democrat-led states have laws that seek to give legal protection to those who prescribe the laws via telehealth to patients in states with bans. Alito's order will remain in effect for another week, while both sides respond and the court more fully considers the issue. So again, the legal maneuvering that is occurring through these different changes. And hello, Jess, on the Instagram side. And thank you for those that are listening, wherever you're listening from. We appreciate it. X, Rumble, YouTube, Kick, Twitch. Oh, what else? Instagram, as I said. And I'm probably forgetting something. I sure am. LinkedIn. Thank you for being there. Wanted to go over my sister, who is from Nevada. She's been in town, obviously, helping with the funeral and everything. But she lives in Nevada. And, of course, while her and her husband was away at a conference, they weren't home, earthquakes and aftershocks hit. Quite a few, actually. But there was an article in Redacted that the Area 51, there's been a lot of people talking about this. Well, I'm going to bring it up. The Area 51 was said to have 17 earthquakes in a single day. Now, when they say that, that sounds questionable. But every earthquake has a lot of aftershocks. In the area that my sister lived, they've at one point, it's probably more now, they had 60 aftershocks. So anyway, this article by I don't even know who the author is. They just the redacted columnist. Said it is not. That's why people are asking questions. It's already been the talk out there that there may have been some nuclear testing going on in Area 51. A swarm of small, shallow quakes hit the area within hours last week and is raising a lot of suspicion, giving the base's long history of secrecy. This is not the first time they've had quakes in this area, by the way. Experts say earthquake swarms do happen in Nevada, which is where my sister lives. I won't give her city. And are usually, but it's, it's within an hour or so of some of the major cities. And are usually tied to natural shifts along fault lines, not anything unusual or man-made. But when it happens at Area 51, the setting does most of the storytelling. Last week, President Trump said that the government would be releasing a lot of things about UFOs, and so they're trying to tie all this together. The first releases will begin very, very soon, so you can go out and see if that phenomenon is correct. You'll figure it out, he said. Could these two things be related? Experts have claimed that there are thermonuclear devices in Area 51 bunkers, but Area 51 has never been a place that invites easy answers. If anything unusual were happening behind those gates, it is safe to assume the public wouldn't be the first to hear about it. So true, but a misleading article. It's not just Area 51 that have had these, and as they're saying, shallow quakes. It's an interesting way to write the article because what it is aftershocks. And there's a lot more than 17 within the area. I know of the big one that hit in her area with 60 aftershocks the last time I checked. It could be, probably is more than that now. And they'll continue to do that as they continue, in the earthquake, because of this massive move. Then you have smaller ones as the ground continues to bite and fit against other pressures and everything. There's going to be a lot of aftershocks. That is with every earthquake. There's never, to my knowledge, ever been an earthquake known to man since we've been covering these that hasn't had a lot of aftershocks. Not as strong, but some can be very strong, but usually not anywhere near the strength of the latest one. I thought that was interesting. They're just throwing it out there. They have absolutely nothing other than to throw, again, the thought out there. But I think it's interesting that they said it. Another article, and this was back a few days ago, and I watched the interview or most of it, that Dan Bongino was on with Hannity. And, and I'd seen some stuff about this, but he talks about the motherload of documents tied to cross for a hurricane. And he talked in a way that of being afraid of a couple things. One is his family. He said if it's an unfriendly administration that goes in after the president, that he believes him and his family would be targeted. He's concerned about that. And also the fact of how many, according to him, without getting into much detail, of how many different agencies and people are involved, and the danger of that and what's going on and why. He was saying a lot without saying it. So he didn't say too much, but he said enough. And it's very interesting. So in this, he talked about being at work late on a Sunday. I think there was nobody home. His family was away. And so he just was working late, went to the room where they burned the stuff, but he wasn't burned. And he said that all this was related to the Trump-Russia investigation related to the 2016 election. Materials was found, we've heard this before, was found inside the burn bag, typically used to destroy sensitive records. Again, I'll redacted here. He explained that what he found fundamentally changed his understanding of the investigation and was concerned about how many people were involved, but never spoke up. So people would go there, shut their mouth, being bullied for fear, whatever, career-wise or other. His takeaway, I thought I knew Russiagate. It was like 10 times worse. Quote, he says, I'm reading this document, and I'm like, I can't believe this happened in the United States. It wasn't just that it happened in the United States. It was that so many people knew about it. He said, quote, all you can do was read it. This thing was bull blank from the start. Bongino said the FBI isn't a single entity, but instead a split one that's part functional, part compromised. This is interesting he's saying this, and Kash Patel is there. To me, and just throwing this in, is that Kash Patel this would make him look bad if he's not cleaned a lot of that up. He expects retaliation, including the possibility of being targeted or even jailed over what he's disclosed. Meanwhile, those at the center of the allegations remain untouched. All this comes at a time when the scrutiny of federal agencies is already elevated, with ongoing investigations, political pressure, and competing narratives about what actually happened during the 2016 election cycle. Supporters see validation, critics aren't buying it. Either way, the core issue most likely isn't going away, and I would agree with that. Because if what Bongino has described holds up, it raises a larger question, not just about one investigation, but about how decisions were made, who signed off, and why no one stepped in. Those are good questions. I applaud them on that one because I believe that, that is questions that we would all have. In the news today also, Dolly Parton had to cancel her Vegas residency. She's got some health issues going on that she has to navigate through. We certainly understand that. She doesn't owe anybody an explanation. But, of course, there's a lot of Dolly Parton fans, including in my area, of which she was married just down the road from where I'm at right now, in the little hamlet of Ringo, Georgia. We've done a lot of shows from there, a lot of videos. We'll be doing more. We're going back live on Street Side in front of Caffeine Addicts, maybe even this Saturday. We will see. But we're doing videos as well in various historical areas and governments and entities and stuff around the town. But that's where she was married. It's one of the most famous things that we have going around here, but there are others. Vladimir Putin from Russia. He announced truce for Victory Day on May 8th and 9th today. Warned Ukraine if it disrupts celebrations, Russian forces will strike Kyiv's center. Now, he didn't say missiles, he said forces. Of course, Ukraine has hit Russia recently in some of their energy capabilities. We are approaching May 9th, the date where Russians traditionally celebrate their defeat of Nazi Germany in the Second World War, or, as they prefer, in the Patriotic War. Just like last year, the celebration that gathers the Russian elite and a large number of foreign dignitaries will happen under the shadow of a possible drone missile combined strike by Ukraine. Not only that, but after Moscow announced a truce on May 8th and 9th, Kyiv came today with their own truce to begin on Wednesday, the 6th. Also today, the Russian Defense Ministry has warned Kyiv of massive retaliation if it disrupts the celebration. I could just see the soldiers marching down the street, tanks rolling, and then all of a sudden a swarm of drones invades. Wow. Now might not be the time to do those celebrations, to be honest. Russian President Vladimir Putin designated a ceasefire for May 8th and 9th. This is from Bloomberg. The defense minister said in a post on Telegram, but Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said there was no coordination with his government. He declared his own ceasefire regime starting at midnight on the night of May 5th, saying Ukraine will act reciprocally starting from that moment. There has been no official appeal to Ukraine regarding the modality of a cessation of hostilities, Zelensky said on X after Russia's announcement. Quote, it is time for Russian leaders to take real steps to end their war, especially since Russia's defense minister believes it cannot hold a parade in Moscow without Ukraine's goodwill. And I don't like Zelensky personally. That's a pretty good comeback, though. I got to give him credit there. So the parade in Moscow will take place without heavy military equipment. Well, they've used a lot of it up as a response to potential security threats. They've lost a lot of tanks, a heck of a lot of tanks and other vehicles used in the war machine. They don't like to talk about it. They have. People have told me my numbers were bogus, but I've gathered them from multiple sources of what heavy losses Russia has incurred manpower-wise. I mean, it's not just one source. It's multiple sources talking about this. It's hard to get a clear number, but it's evident that between both sides, the casualty rate is up over 1 million men. Russia has suffered much more. This has been a failure so far for them in many, many ways. Here we are in 4 years in. Can you imagine? This was supposed to be like a There were U.S. retired generals that said this thing would be wrapped up, the takeover of the country, in 2 months, 60 days. And certainly they tried. They landed and went after Kyiv, and it didn't work. Whatever you think about Zelensky and their leadership there, you got to give Ukraine a heck of a lot of credit for the kickback. And I know it's took a lot of U.S. weapons and taxpayer dollars and stuff. But in the end, just looking at it from a military standpoint, Ukraine has held the line really well. And Russia's model of just continued pummeling of cities, they have done that. But they've not had the gains that they want. They wanted much more. And maybe they do want the country. I think they want to back them into being just some sort of little, puppet for them and take over a big section of it that would connect their land masses and all that. And then maybe even make them pay a tax to them and things like that. But I don't think at this point they want the whole country. Lord knows, I think they'd be happy getting what they want and getting, established and stopped now, because it is estimated that Russia can continue and they pulled a lot of their soldiers from outlying areas, Siberia and places not in city centers, so that the majority of the people wouldn't see how many are dying. But it is sad that a lot of those body bags are coming off those planes daily at the Moscow airport. Is a pretty sad day. It reminds me of the old Gone with the Wind movie and the reading of the names. But it is horrible, because they put them on ambulances and stuff and take them into funeral homes or for shipment back to wherever they were from. And on the Ukrainian side, there's been a lot of death too. And satellite imagery show those, because they're restricted areas, you can't get into a lot of them, but it shows that the graveyard's growing at a massive rate. So no heavy equipment. Putin is scheduled to deliver a speech while guests this year for the festivities in Moscow include Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico. The Kremlin said Ukraine has intensified strikes on Russia in recent months and has also begun regularly targeting locations deeper inside the country. In the latest attack, a drone hit a residential tower in an upscale Moscow district on Monday. So we will see. Can they have their parade? Can they have a celebration? Only the parties know that. I don't know. We will see. Another article on the Gateway Pundit. And by the way, the owner founder of the Gateway Pundit, he has other writers, but him and his twin brother were in the hospital about both having some sort of heart condition they were working on. I saw that, so pray for them as well. That is true, broski. Iran made the drones for Russia. I wonder if they still are. Obviously, they're probably their stockpile has to have been depleted some, although they had massive amounts of missiles and drone. The problem is, even if they're making them, is how they're getting them there. They could be pushing them through. We don't have control of all borders with Iraq or any, they could be doing that. It's very possible. But this could be impacting the supply line for Russia. I think that there are still days where they send a swarm of missiles and drones, but that seems to have tapped down some. You don't even hear about it as much. It's much more strategic. It was just doing the swarms, massive all over the country. And at times they'll still do that. But it has slowed down and they're hitting more targeted areas, energy sectors and things like that usually. But that's a great question, and I don't know. British Royal Navy crisis workings as HMS Iron Duke is retired, leaving just 5 frigates to defend the island. The olden days when the sun never set on the British Empire are long gone, and now the last remnant of their imperial power is collapsing before our eyes. The British Royal Navy reportedly has another crippled vessel withdrawn, leaving just 5 active frigates to defend Britain. Now, how the heck, because, they use frigates a lot. How the heck do you let this happen? This just shows, really. If you're not going to be a world power, fine. You're not going to send things, out and do, but, you want to defend your homeland for sure. The Iron Duke has reportedly been stripped of its weapons and sensors and has not been to sea since October. It follows an almost 5-year refit for the top 23 frigate that cost the taxpayers £103 million. that was completed in 2023 was expected to allow the Iron Duke to return to service for at least another 5 years. However, according to Navy Lookout, the frigate has been effectively withdrawn from active service. Not good for them. They show some pictures of it in action. In the past few months, Russian submarines have entered British waters, while warship escort Moscow sanctioned ships through the channel. As you can read in, they give an article in Power Decade Europe, Russian warship escorts these tankers. But that withdrawal only leaves them 5. So the Navy just has limited resources to counter Russian activity in the channel, makes it even more stretched, and means it is unable to assign more than a single frigate to the carrier strike group, half the minimum number it would previously have included. Not good. And that's what they wanted to do to the U.S. was downsize. I'm saying some administrations downsize the Navy. They did that a lot. Now the president's talking about, not just drill, baby, drill, but build, baby, build. I mean, we need ships. I mean, we had gotten down, quite severely, and so, but that's incredible. But this could go back. I mean, their financial system's a mess. It's just the stupid way they look at things over there. And it is amazing. This empire has had its teeth pulled over the decades, many, many decades. I mean, you got to go back a long way to see the full effect of that empire across the world. I mean, there was, said that, the sun never went down on somewhere that the British Empire was. I mean, that's not that way anymore, but it used to be that way. I'm sure former President Obama was cheering when he heard that news. He cannot stand the Western world, especially the British Empire, because he at one time was living under a place that was under control of the British Empire. To say that he has great disdain for Britain, I don't know. Sometimes I do because of the way they act. It is interesting. The king come over. They seem to buddy with each other, and it felt like the rift was a little bit better. Another report is Republicans are working to flip Senator John Fetterman. He could receive a Trump endorsement and financial backing. This is a dangerous game to play here, obviously, for the Republicans. He's being courted by Republicans ahead of the midterm elections in a pursuit that could determine control of the U.S. Senate. According to Politico, Republican operatives are working to try and lure Fetterman across the aisle and bolster their Senate majority ahead of the midterms. The reported Politico states Trump has made the sale, offering his patented total and complete endorsement plus a financial windfall to the Pennsylvania. A handful of Senate Republicans are also gently feeling out Fetterman. They could have worded that a little bit better, I think. Just saying. A handful of Senate Republicans are also gently feeling out Fetterman and responding to his concerns over the prospect of defecting from the Democratic Party. Multiple high-level GOP officials told the report in Politico. If Fetterman does flip, according to officials who were given anonymity to talk about sensitive matters, it will be thanks in large part to his deepening friendship with a pair of senators and their high-profile spouses, Senator Dave McCormick, Republican, Pennsylvania, and his wife, Dinah, and Senator Katie Britt, Republican, Alabama. Remember her? She gave the answer at one point after the State of the Union. That was not the last one, but I think one before that. And her husband, Wesley. Trump, who knows a thing or two about party switching, he sure does, has also gotten in on the action. He's told one GOP senator he prefers Fetterman making the full conversion to Republican, according to a source familiar with the conversation. And Trump has said if Fetterman does, he'd reciprocate. In his typical unsubtle fashion, the president conveyed as much to Sean Hannity in March and asked Hannity to play intermediary. Fetterman so far has played down the idea, maintained he would be we'll use the word crappy Republican. He uses a little bit stronger word I'm not going to repeat on this show. I'm not changing, Fetterman said. I'm a Democrat, and I'm staying one. I would be a blankety Republican, he later added. However, the report notes that Fetterman has refused to consider joining the GOP. He is not pushing back against suggestions that he may serve as an independent, and I've said this is where former Democrats go. They go independent. They don't go to Republican side. The 56-year-old was the first elected to a seat in 22, as we know, and with health issues as well. They're still our biggest enemy. England pulls the strings for this globalist agenda. They have their hands in our money and banking systems. Well, certainly. The military operation against Iran is hurting England, and that's true. They're in trouble, and a lot of countries are. The president, with this move, whether people like it or not, it has caused pain in China, Russia, England, certainly Iran, and probably even North Korea. I would think they would be involved in that, although they don't care. They'll just starve their people out even more. But still, it's putting a hurt on the money that's being moved around. And the president is getting out ahead of them because of the BRICS threats and everything about the dollar. I think that's what he's working to do. And so he is cornering the market on some oil, some resources. He is effectively taken over the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, once they finish whatever threats that Iran can throw there, they're basically controlling it because our military is there. I know that's not the word maybe we should use, but in effect, they're controlling it because we have a blockade. Would that not say we have a control of the Strait of Hormuz? I would think it would. Interesting. By the way, golly, I meant to bring it down here. I will show it tomorrow night. And I'm not trying to bring it back up for sake of sympathy or anything, but I do want to say this. I got a letter today in the mail from the election office in my county. My wife, as you know or don't know, passed away Sunday night. Last Sunday, not this Sunday, yesterday, the week before Sunday. Today I received a letter in the mail that expressed sympathy for that and I will show the letter because I want to get it right. But basically, they have taken her off the voter roll, which they should. That's what's supposed to happen. And my sister said, well, they're not doing that real good in Nevada right now, which is true from what I've heard. But I do want to show the letter. I'll blank out the address and everything, and name. But I do want to show you that. I meant to bring it back to the studio, and I didn't. But I will show that maybe in the morning as well. And that's the way it should work. Someone passes away, they come off the voter roll, and we've had problems with that around the country in many different areas. So give a round of applause for the Catoosa County Elections Office, which I know those people. They're wonderful people. And, I appreciate them. I've worked with them, and I've said, you're doing a great job, and, there you go. And laugh at all those others like Fulton County that can't get it right. And we're going to give applause to Catoosa County, which is in the extreme northwest Georgia area. And so good job for them. I don't know. Sometimes they watch. And so laughter at, Fulton, they can't get it right. They can't. But here in Catoosa we have, and I will, I'm going to wait. We're already they've already made schedules this round of the primaries. I will not help with, maybe in November. So we'll see if they will use me there or wait till next year. But I will go back and help. Great people. I love them. They're awesome. And I appreciate everything they do. They're good friends. They're awesome people. And I appreciate it. So, but good input there, Broski. That is so very true, all that you're saying. Now, I wanted to, while we have time, again, we will end at 10 and we're going to come back with a sports show. In Michigan, this is an article. Let me pull this up. From the New York Post, Michigan Dems vote by phone convention results in material errors, including 200 ineligible ballots cast, candidate claims. Some Michigan Democrats are calling for a recount Monday after numerous voting irregularities were discovered following their endorsement convention early this month. You can't even get that right. The vote by phone convention in Detroit resulted in more than 200 ineligible votes being cast, multiple people using the same phone number to cast ballots, and some votes not being counted. Democratic State Senator Sylvia Santana's campaign alleged in a filing calling for an audit and recount. Imagine that. Democrats actually calling for that now? Imagine, you don't see it hurt them too. Santana's campaign claims Michigan Democratic Party leadership failed to enforce a rule requiring people to be at the meeting in person to vote. and that the lawmaker would have won the nominations for a Michigan State University Board of Trustees spot had ballots cast from outside Detroit's Huntington Place Convention Center not been counted. The Democratic Party failed to fulfill its responsibility of running a procedurally fair and transparent convention that complies with its own rules and regulations. Imagine that. Thereby making it difficult, if not impossible, to honor the results of the convention, the following states. Santana's appeal alleges 302 voters were not on the party's master voting list, and a whopping 208 people shared the same. How do you do this? How do you mess it up this bad? That they used the same cell number with at least one other voter, including 6 members attached to a single phone number, which allowed people to cast multiple votes. At least 16 cases of votes being recorded incorrectly or not being recorded at all were purportedly discovered as well. Location data examined by Santana's campaign found that more than 200 votes were cast from outside the convention center, which means the candidate who came in third place would have won by 50 votes if the ineligible ballots weren't counted. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, a Democrat, expressed support for Santana's call for an audit. Well, good. Quote, I've learned in the days immediately following the convention that the election buddy app, that's what they called it, election buddy app, did not correctly attribute my votes or my congressional district, and I immediately notified the impacted candidates and the state party chair, Nessel said in a statement. Oakland County prosecutor Karen McDonald, who lost the party's nomination for attorney general at the same convention, similarly endorsed an audit. After reviewing the results of the MDP endorsement convention, it became clear that votes were incorrectly recorded. People voted who were not on site, and some votes were not recorded at all, McDonald said in a statement. The Michigan Republican Party seized on the convention, quote, mess, end quote, questioning the Democrats' commitment to election integrity. Quote, hundreds of ineligible voters took part in the Michigan Democratic Party's endorsement convention, highlighting the importance of our voter integrity, the Michigan GOP wrote on X, social media platform X. Losing candidates are starting to take legal action against the Democratic Party, claiming the election were stolen from them, the post continued. Democrats can't even secure their own internal elections. What a mess. The Michigan Democratic Party declined to comment on the specifics of Santana's appeal until after Monday's deadline for candidates to file one. Quote, we are committed to following the appeals process and ensuring it is fair and independent, end quote, the party said in a statement. Meanwhile, the state attorney general dismissed GOP concerns about election integrity. Of course, there's a substantial and documented difference between voting on a third-party mobile phone application at a partisan convention and the long-established decentralized process utilized by Michigan's over 1,600 bipartisan clerks each election, Nessel noted, arguing these results have no bearing on the veracity of state-run elections. Really? You can't get it right? Come on. Oh. Cook wants to know what I think about Caleb Downs from the Cowboys. What do you think of him? Well, I did, I watched your video, and I thought it was a good move by them. I thought that the Dallas Cowboys had a really good draft. I thought they addressed needs. They didn't get crazy. They did move up a little bit to get their guy, but it wasn't crazy. They didn't give away the farm. Jerry's been known to do crazy stuff like that. I thought they stayed within their system. They don't need a lot. It's a very good team, and he can definitely contribute. I thought that every pick met needs that they had. So, obviously a very good player, and we'll see. But as with all picks, Cowboy, I think that it was a good move by them. And I thought they had a good draft. I covered the draft live at least 3 rounds and then commented on the rest. But I do believe that they had a good draft. And so I hope next year you can join me on that Thursday night. We'll do the first round live. I did the second round live. I worked on round. When they started the third, I was going to work. So anyway. But I just thought that was interesting. Now they're suing each other over problems that they had. Also today, we heard the news. I want to get one more in here before we start to get out. There was a child struck. There was some idiot gunman near the White House. They lit him up, but unfortunately, a child was struck near the White House. a gunman fired on Secret Service agents on today. The shooting was around 3 p.m. on 15th Street and Independence Avenue near the Washington Monument, about a half mile from the White House. The shooting involved agents with the Uniform Division, Fox News reported. Secret Service Agent Director Matt Quinn said that a bystander he called a juvenile was hit by the suspect's gunfire. The child was treated at a hospital. Officials said the injuries were not life-threatening. Quinn said agents detected a visual print of a weapon. My understanding is they observed a print, Quinn said. These are trained surveillance detection personnel out there looking every day to look for just that, and they observed a visual print of a firearm. Upon making contact, the individual fled briefly on foot, withdrew a firearm, and fired in the direction of our agents and officers. They returned fire and engaged. Quinn said a motorcade that included Vice President J.D. Vance had driven by the area not long before the incident. I can't say. I'm not going to guess on that, Quinn said when asked whether he thought the suspect may have been targeting President Donald Trump. I can tell you that every time we're patrolling this area, in every shot, we do 24/7 hardcore. Whether or not it was directed to the president or not, I don't know, but we will find out. The wounded suspect was taken to a hospital. President Trump at the time was meeting with, this was announced today as well, small business owners. That meeting took place as planned, the Post reported. So continued actions in and around that area, unsettling. I will say for me, the Secret Service and other agents, we still have a huge problem in this nation of protection for the president. When you look at all parts of that video, there were some that responded yes. There were others. There were other things that were going on that were very bad. If you looked at the images with the dog, you looked at they're working on a piece of equipment right in the middle of this operation. I mean, there was some slow responses. There were some fast. They've got some problems. We got some problems. And I think forever they need to move the correspondence dinner from this place. This is not the place in this climate right now to be holding that. That was utter, to me, incompetence. When you start hearing about all the ability of other people to be there, checking in and out and all that. I mean, it's like being at, I've been at many conventions and hotels. I know they had some security set up, but come on. This guy was even laughing and joking about it himself. Ridiculous. Cook says, good, me too, right? Good for you. Good. You thought it was good draft too? And they let the guy get through his Secret Service as a joke. Yeah, strong language, and I agree. This guy should have never got past anybody. I mean, he should have been detected before he was even, showed his what he was attempting to do. But he should have never. I mean, this guy should have had. Honestly, should have been dead on the ground. I mean, immediately. One guy fumbled with his weapon. They were talking about how quick he responded. I thought it was very slow. I mean, can we not get agents that can control that can control their weapon better than what we've seen at Butler and this one? I think that's incredibly negligent. And I don't care who the president is, you have got to have better than that. I will say that. Last comment, Cook. Yes, you got me excited for the year. Well, I hope so. Cook, if you can, hang around in a few minutes. I'll come back with sports. We'll get updated on baseball, playoffs, and other things that we were talking about on Sunday. And I was going to come back on Sunday night, but I'm still, it was a hard day. And by the time I got home Sunday night, I was really not good, not great, not bad, not horrible, but I was just really it was just a very hard day for me. Internally, emotionally, and everything else. And I just went in and really relaxed and went to bed early. So, but I was happy to be here this morning. We'll be back in the morning. Cornbread Man Morning Show. We'll be back tomorrow night with the PNN, Patriot Nation News. My hope is to have this a 5-day a week at 9. And unless otherwise adjusted due to some things going on. And thank you, Cook. Yes, flexing the muscles. But come back and we'll talk about some of those things. We'll look at the NFL. Wolf Nation Sports. Be back in just a few minutes. We'll go out with some music. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you, broski. Appreciate your kind email, my friend. I did send that back. Even if you've seen it, I wanted to just say appreciate it so very much, man. Really been a blessing, and everybody on the platform. So many people have sent me a lot of things. I'm very happy about that. It helps me. It really, really does. Take care. Salute. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
Stories coming fast and strong. From the map to your front door, what matters most, we bring you more. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. Voices rise, the facts roll in. Every angle, every win. City halls and highway miles. Real lives, real news, real time. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. When the day gets loud, we cut through the crowd. When the feed runs wild, we keep it straight and style. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now